everyone, and welcome to Katharine's Q&A, episode 36. This is a series where you can ask an author pretty much anything. Today we're actually going to be talking about the different types of editing and, of course, the editors that go along with it when you're going through and getting ready for you have a book or paper published. Now, there are obviously various ways you can categorize different types of editing. I'm just going to name some of the more common ones and kind of explain them going through from the order you may need them. So going off first, there is developmental editing. And developmental sometimes is called content editing or substantive editing. And for this, think of big picture, big concept questions. So overall, does your story, what you're trying to get across, make sense? Are there major plot holes or flaws that can be should be addressed or fixed early on? So that kind of stuff is developmental. Again, it is your story, the concepts that you're trying to convey, and does it make sense? There's also structural editing, and this sometimes can be paired or partnered with developmental. It deals with, again, the overall structure of your story. Are there logical, again, with the logical flaws? How is your tone of the story? What's your quality of writing and style? So again, going back to some of the more big picture questions. And like I said, can be paired often with developmental editing. Now, moving along, there is copy editing, which is something I use a lot, and this deals with the spelling, grammar, punctuation, your word choice. They also are assessing your quality of writing in the sense of your tone of your story and the style. They want to, people who are doing this type, these editors try to make sure everything is consistent and appropriate to the target audience. Obviously, if you are writing to a middle grade audience, you wouldn't necessarily use the same type of vocabulary as you would for an adult audience. So some of this can be worked out, again, with copy editing, and vice versa. If you're trying to write for an adult audience, sometimes your editor can help you elevate the vocabulary you use, etc., so on. Okay. There is also line editing, and line editing is very similar to copy in the sense that the editor now goes through your book line by line and assesses your word choice and helps polish up your work, again, trying to make sure everything is clear and elegant and you're making the points you want to make. And so that's a very important one as well. Now, the fifth one that I'm going to be talking to you today is mechanical editing. And mechanical, yes, it does deal with the spelling and the grammar, punctuation as well, but it also deals with formatting. So this is, I think, extremely beneficial, especially for people who deal with academic style writing, because there are very rigid formats to use for those kind of papers and publications. So mechanical editing may be quite beneficial, especially if you're new to writing academic work, but can also be beneficial for fiction and nonfiction literature as well. Now, if you're going about trying to decide what editor to use, note that different editors may either be specific to one of the above, and that is all their niche is about, and then there are those who can offer bundles and packages or do multiple different types of editing in different rounds. Also note that when you're searching for an editor, know exactly what you need them to do, because if you're asking them to do everything, obviously that's going to be more work, more time, and a lot more expense than picking one or two of the above categories. So it is good to become familiar with the different types of editing and decide what is best for you. Maybe you do want it all. Or maybe you're someone like me who knows copy editing is usually kind of what I focus on, potentially line editing as well, depending on my work, and you can go from there. Now, if you have any questions for me pertaining to this or anything else, you can message me on social media or post a comment below this video. And just remember, if you like this topic today, well, let me know, like the movie. And I will catch you next week. Until then, skål.